Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge. Go through one set of lights, pull a Yui, park in the street in front of the music store with the red neon light. Have your own podcast here in our beautiful studio. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Be on the show with me. And today, this goes way back. One of the first people I ever, maybe even ever played music with, Mike Z. Livingston, in person.
What's up? John P.
Yeah, that's right.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, we do go way back.
Like this might be one of the deepest.
Yeah.
Like you know Skip LeClaire, right?
Oh yeah.
That I think he's the only deepest. Like you're one layer in from him. That's it. I don't think there's any deeper layers than that.
I'm literally a half a layer from him because, you know, when I was working at Music Incorporated on Center Street and then moved with Jimmy McCann over to Custom Guitars, Skip LeClaire would come in and shred out like that. Yep. He's literally one of the guys that I watched play and inspired me to do what I do.
Of course, we all do.
He's great.
So you're primarily known, I haven't seen you in years. No, you know what? You remember? This is funny. I was hanging around with the folks at Jake's back in the day, and they're like, "Oh man, you got to meet this guy. He's so cool. You'll love him." And then I went, and I'm like, "Oh, it's you." Yeah.
I was probably there with Zip when I was working with Live Nation and Zip and Carla.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. So tell us what you're mainly known for around these parts, and then we'll figure it out. We'll unravel the rest.
Well, let's see. Right out of high school, I went to UNH, got on the radio station there, and from 85 to 90, I had a radio show that, enabled me to interview almost every single favorite punk, hardcore, and metal band that I ever wanted. And, my nickname became Mike Z. There was another guy there named Bobby Z, I was like, I'm Mike Z. So, I did that from 85 to 90, and made quite a lot of racket with that metal show. We only had 1,700 watts at UNH, but we broadcast over the water to Suffolk County, all the way up to Hartford, and beyond, to the point where one year when I was the music director, we made it onto the Arbitron ratings in Suffolk, New Haven, and Hartford counties. And with 1,700 watts compared to like PLR with 50,000 watts. Every Saturday night from 8 to 12, people would be listening to my radio show, and
nice.
I'd go to the shows and I'd interview bands like Metallica, Slayer, Agnostic Front, Suicidal Tendencies, and then I would record it and play it on the air.
Wow.
And that led to just a ton of other things too. Get my own bands together and play my own stuff on the radio. Connections. Put together the first thrash metal show at Toad's Place with Catherine when she was there. That was Wargasm.
Wow.
And my band Radium. Opening up, and just got like you, guy was a musician, but evolved in other areas, and it all just still kind of circumvents each other. So
definitely.
So that's it. The local bands. I was in a bunch of local bands.
Sure.
Band called was Radium was the first.
Okay.
Band called Atmosphere.
Okay.
Those both had 10-year runs. There's been a band called Smoke the Prophet.
Okay.
For 10 years. We had a good run.
Yeah.
A couple dates on the 98 Horde Tour. Won this national contest for the Cool Cigarettes.
Nice.
Of all.
Yeah, right.
And then there was a band called Drained of Life, which was more on the hardcore side.
Okay.
And from Drained of Life playing out, we started opening up for Jamie Joster from Hatebreed. Said, hey, you guys want to open up for 25 to Life, New York hardcore. Did that. Met the singer from 25 to Life, and he's like, hey, we could use a guy like you in Europe. What are you doing? You got your passport? and I didn't know if he was serious, and he was. And
did you have your passport?
I got it together. It wasn't, but I got the expedited.
Yeah.
And through that, I went on tour with 25 to Life for about a year in 30 countries.
Wow.
First time going to California in my life was on tour with that band.
Hey, that's cool.
Did that for a year, and then came home to find out that this band 100 Demons was seeking me out as a lead guitar player, and they were actually my favorite band in the world at that moment.
Whoa!
Even though they're from Connecticut.
How'd they hear about you? Just from all your stuff?
Well, I had started to confront the guys with my band Drain of Life to open up for them.
Okay.
And our bass player was a guy named Lou Jacques.
Okay.
Who's a famous tattoo artist. He was from Dark Side Tattoo.
Gotcha.
He drew the 100 Demons album cover, and so he was tight with them. So when their lead guitar player just they basically blew up, and they're about to do a video on MTV and all, but he couldn't do it all because he worked. So they were looking for a guy. Came home to find out they were looking for me, and I said, "What?" And
here I am.
I jumped on it, and there was only one other guy in the running. And it was a guy named Wayne who's back in Hatebreed now.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't play the solos, and I could.
Hey.
So I got the gig.
Know what I'm saying?
But then he went up me and got his old gig back in Hatebreed. And I love him. We're still friends to this day. And he was also a DJ at NHU. So it's
oh, wow. So it's all connected.
And then I played with those guys for 4 years. And that was also like 30. So between the two bands, it was like traveling in 40 countries.
Wow.
And then we did a video at a place called the Filthy Ox bar in Waterbury.
Okay.
And it was like the Diablo's clubhouse, and
Sure.
we did a video in there called for a song called Repeat Process, which was that's like the video that was on MTV and all that. And the coolest thing about that is I had just joined the band, and I was just gonna go down to the video shoot and be like a guy around in the video. And the night before, Bubba calls me and says, "Hey, bring your guitar, man. We're going to need you for the video." I'm like, okay.
Oh boy.
So I brought my guitar and got into the video, and then they let me stay in the band for about 4 years.
Whoa.
And tour the world with those guys. And so yeah, shirts and Hot Topic, and songs produced by Zeus from Planet Z, and and that was a 4-year run. Then they split up full time, and then regrouped with the original guys, and now they just fly here and there. I'm still great friends with all the guys. I go support them, go see them, hang out, and so
that's cool.
But that's really that
So
sums it all up.
You end up doing it all, pretty much what you wanted to do, get involved with.
I was 39 when when I finally reached that pin and say, hey, look, Mom, I'm on MTV and traveling the world.
Well,
but 39 years to get to that point,
Yeah.
So never give up, whatever your dreams
are.
Right.
Yeah. That's heavy.
But the most important is my mom dropping me and Stupak off at your house and jamming in your basement doing Treat Trick.
All right, you ready?
Skinnerd.
All right, this is what I remember. You ready? I made a list.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the following. The Daily Growl. The Daily Growl. All right.
Oh, yes.
All right. So, yeah, I don't remember, probably Music Inc. or something. I mean, we're from Wallingford. I wasn't exactly, you were a rock and roller. I wanted to be a rock and roller. I wanted to be like you. And so I don't know how it happened, but it was like, oh, yeah, we can jam at my house.
Yeah.
And I had already got involved with some dude, Bear. Remember?
Bear, yes.
He was scary. I wonder whatever happened to him.
He came and disappeared almost, it was quick.
Yeah.
He got some girl pregnant that we knew who lived a few blocks from me downtown. And that was like the most I knew. And then maybe that's why.
Yeah. But so Bear was scary. He was older than us, and he was kind of scary.
He was a big Southern rocker. Yeah,
it was like a big Southern rocker. So we're playing all Skinner and everything, and you were cool. We kind of wanted to get involved in other things, but Bear was kind of running the show, and he left his rig at our house, and I had a dog. I had a little squeaky toy that looked like a newspaper called the Daily Growl, and we were clowning around, and we threw it, and it went through his speaker. We're like, he's going to kill us. We're like, he's going to kill us. Like, Bear is going to kill us.
Yeah.
He's going to kill our family.
Yeah.
I don't remember what
Any
happened.
guy with the nickname Bear, you got to on point.
Then it just became the Daily Growl.
But I don't think he ever came back, though, did he? So I don't know if we ever had to worry. Did he?
Somehow or other, I think he just came and got his stuff one day, and that was it.
Yeah, and then didn't say anything.
And then it was us. Then we were like, okay, now we can kind of get cracking and get more into like Van Halen, Cheap Trick.
Yeah,
because he was like the Southern rock dude.
Oh yeah, I think we played Tuesdays Gone so many times.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the big tune.
Yeah.
Yep. So the Daily Growl, I will never forget that. So then there was Mike Stupak was your friend, and it's a cool guy, but like super quiet.
Yeah.
And we all tried singing. And then one day he was like, I'll try. And he was great. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, hey, dude, be the singer.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of the singer.
He did bust out.
Yeah.
And he was in a band with some guys from Wallingford too. Like,
there you go.
who's the guy? What was the name of that band? I can't. I should remember this. With Mark Proto, Brad. I think Eric Wilborn was the bass player, but they played like a show at Lyman Hall, and he sang. And I remember he was taking karate, so he would wear his karate thing on stage. But no, he actually, for a dude that was like quiet and he started singing, and he actually did pretty good. And Tom Izzo was in the mix. Sure. We used to jam.
Yep. I still see Tom.
We had these things called these stone jams at Stupak's house where Tom would show up and we would all, party and jam.
Sure.
But he recorded some songs with me. I recorded a song with Mike, and they actually sound pretty damn good.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. But that was that. I'm just trying to remember things. You were the first person in real life that I ever saw started to do that. Because I was a huge Van Halen fan.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, check this out. Whoa. It was like, whoa, you're kidding.
Learn eruption note for note.
Yeah, he's doing the thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you were one of the only people that was a Cheap Trick fan like I was.
Yes.
There weren't many.
That's how we bonded, big time.
Yeah. It was like, okay.
We played a lot of Cheap Trick tunes from what I remember.
Yep. And I think I went. Did I go with you?
I'm sure we went, then I would continue to see you at Cheap Trick shows. That's how I would continue to catch up with you.
Yeah, that was
at Toads and
yep. So that was a Cheap Trick thing. Also, I remember you might not remember, but I was right on the fence. But we were hanging out at Stupak's house one time, and you were big on Prince. You turned me on to Purple Rain.
Yes, and that was Mike that started that. Actually,
oh okay,
yeah.
But I remember I was like, oh okay, this is cool because the guitars were heavy.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, this is the thing. But I remember that you and a few, I was like, wasn't sure. And then when you were like, check this out, I was like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Part of it was, when I found out that he had wrote and recorded and produced all of his songs, and kind of had like programmed everything.
Yeah.
That inspired me. And, at Stupak's house, I actually rediscovered multi-track recording without knowing what it was or how it worked.
Oh boy.
But I just had this, he had this little like Walkman size recorder.
Okay.
And then he had a boombox.
Yep.
So I recorded a guitar part, put it on the boombox.
Sure.
And then I'm like, wait a minute.
Yep.
I can hit play.
Right.
And I can record on this other one, and I can play another part.
Playing.
So I started doing that. And then me and him, we chipped in on a Panasonic tape deck each, like $100.
Yeah.
Bought those two. I bought a 4-channel Radio Shack mic mixer. And now I started bouncing internally.
Yeah, right.
Back and forth.
Right.
So that Prince getting me inspired. But then I moved to Guilford. And what happened was one of my dad's friends let me borrow his drum set and let it sit in my house for a couple of years.
Sure.
So I started recording. So basically, I started writing songs,
so
and I started
Prince,
play. Yes,
yeah.
I wrote the song. I would play the drum track, then it would the bass, guitars, keyboards, vocals, leads, and I would mix it, and then I would bring it into school. And this was way before there was 4 tracks or anything. So when I brought it into school, people were like, wait,
how are you doing all that?
You played all that? How did you do that? And it's hilarious because later when I studied Les Paul and everything, I was like, oh my God, like I just So
you
basically,
invented it
just discovered it
in your own
mind. Without even knowing that it had already been invented. So basically from there, I got into I bought Cakewalk Home Studio, which was like a 16-channel MIDI program.
Yep.
And then you could record. So I got really into the MIDI and digital recording thing kind of way before everybody else. So doing my own. But then I started recording bands out of my folks' house for $10 an hour.
Wow.
And I advertised in the New Haven Advocate.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
$10 an hour. And boy, did I.
What was it called?
It was called Spindrift Studio.
That's right.
Yep. And, for 2-3 years straight, every day was booked. I recorded tons and tons of bands, and like,
so you were that guy.
oh
that
yeah, I was like
knew.
the Don Lapre of like tiny little classified ad in the Advocate, but the $10 an hour hooked him in, and that was like $4 more than I was making on my day job at the time. So it was like, wake up every day and just have bands come in.
Oh yeah.
So that, then from there, I went to UNH. And that got me at NWNHU. So really, and then all the other bands that I mentioned are all intertwined in there.
Killer.
But yeah.
That's so funny. That's how it starts.
But
I also remember you had a Juno 60.
Yes.
With the arpeggiator. I love that thing. I used to come over.
Yes.
And play that thing.
Oh, that thing was awesome.
Beautiful sound.
I actually got that. I was in a band called the Jackets. Okay. boy, did Eric and Mike break my balls for that. They used to break my balls and call it the Pockets. You're in the Pockets.
Sure.
But it was a band that was put together by this guy Dick Pilchin from Subway. He was like the guy that put the Rock Scene magazine, and he would like promote bands and whatnot. And he put this band together, the Jackets, and I saw, I got into it. Basically, that was one of the things, kind of a interesting pop thing I did, trying to jam with guys. And there was a couple guys, Dan Vermilia, a couple dudes from Wallingford were in that band. So it's
just one thing leads to another.
It does, man. And and I followed your career too over the years. I know you did some stuff with like Tom T-Bone.
I have a career,
right? Weren't you in 8 to the Bar?
I was.
Yeah. What else? Like, come on, tell me. What haven't I caught up with here? Because.
All right. I don't know. All right. Yeah. Synopsis. Yeah. I got out of the basement. Vic.
Yeah.
He started to retire from playing gigs and was getting his studio thing together, and he would just chuck me on the gigs. My parents would drive me to the gig, and then that just kind of led from one thing to another. And then I think like my first band that was playing almost full time, like I quit my job. Like the first thing was a band, Tony Richards and the K-Man Band, out in the northeast corner or northwest corner, and then and then 8 to the Bar. I almost all of the 90s, and that was just one-nighters, but 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week, whatever, just doing that. And then that was the point of no return. Beyond that, I don't remember. Like I quit a few times and tried to do this and tried to do that and tried to do this, and then just gradually, but I don't know what would be of note that would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I ended up playing with Danny Korchmar, who's like a studio guitarist from the James Taylor, Carole King, like that. They just made a movie called The Immediate Family. That's that crew. It's like Lee Sklar, and Russ Kunkel and all those guys. And I played with him for like 10 years up here, and that was kind of a big deal.
That's cool. Yeah. With Carole King, I was just reading an article about the Wrecking Crew. That whole
So they're like right after the Wrecking Crew, they were like the next group of guys that played on all the hits.
Yeah,
like all the Carole King and the Linda Ronstadt and James Taylor and Jackson Browne and all that stuff.
Right.
So I played with him, but I mean that was a while ago. That was probably like the last thing that I did. But I mean, there's it's just been a million things in between.
Yeah, sure.
In between all of that, but
right on.
And
then now this.
Oh yeah, and then this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah. Another thing before I forget, although we get into this later or whatever, I also remember you were one of the first people hanging out with you that we went to New Haven for pizza. That was you.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what? And you're
Pepe's.
Like, we're going to go to and we waited in line outside, and that was an adventure.
That's crazy because literally as you speak, like the whole world has now gone bonkers,
right?
Like for New Haven, like it's trending so hard now that all the other people in states think they have good pizza, and it's just a joke.
I know. Did you see the thing? There was, I forget what magazine it was in, but it was like a national, like People or something. They were saying Connecticut poised to put pizza on the map nationwide, and it's like, we are the map. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we are the map.
It's been 100 years of history. So
yeah.
But
yeah, well, I mean, the deal, like with Rick Nielsen, is like from Cheap Trick, is Chicago has their own pizza thing, which is legit. It's just different. But he started a New Haven style pizzeria because
I heard that. I saw that
all over the country, and they're like, no, you got to check this out. And I guess people out there are like, well, you can't do that. And he's just like, but New Haven Pie, you can't go back.
And he's got the vodka. He's big on
right.
Was it Rockin' Vodka or whatever? I see they try to get me to invest every day on Facebook. But no, you bring the pizza up, and that's actually a whole other chapter in my life, which is I worked for Live Nation for 20 years.
Right.
And that literally started 2003. A friend of mine said, hey, we got Kiss and Aerosmith coming to the Meadows. They're rehearsing for a week. We need extra people. You want to come down? Yeah. And I said, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I went down from my friend Opus, his girlfriend Lauren at the time.
Get him in here.
Yep. Oh, he will. Oh, he's got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
His girlfriend Lauren was working at the time. She said, hey, you want to come down? So I went down. Within 2-3 days, I got recognized as one of the top hardworking guys. Tour manager Charlie Hernandez says to me and this other guy, Pete Shipes. And you know Pete Shipes? He was working as a runner. And me and Pete Shipes, he said to me and Pete Shipes, hey, get here early tomorrow, guys. Maybe you guys take a ride with some guys or whatever. We didn't know what was going on. So we show up early next morning, jump in the van, start heading east towards Madison, and get in the van. The guys go, oh, hey, you guys know where we're going? No, man, where are we going? He's like, we're going to Vindaloo, Aerosmith's recording studio and headquarters. I'm like, wow, get out. Yeah. So that's where we go. And we go there, and it's so unassuming because the Aerosmith headquarters, there's like a Stop and Shop in near Cape Cod or whatever. And behind the Stop and Shop, there's like a typical row of like businesses, each with like a bay behind it. And theirs is just one of them in the middle. Wow. And so crazy. When we walked in there, like they have a warehouse that is the size of Sam Ash with all of Joe Perry's old guitars that are even open, all props. And then that's the front room. Yeah. Then you go to the left, and there's the recording studio, the big room where the band is, where they recorded all those records. Wow. Then you walk past that, and there's this room that's about the size of like a kitchen, and it's just covered with all the tapestries, and that's Steven Tyler's vocal room. Oh, wow. And then there's one little room up front, and it's just like the office. And that's Vindaloo. That's where they recorded all those big hit records. So we stopped over there, grabbed some stuff, and then they're like, okay, guys, now we got to stop over at Joe Perry's house, Oh, no big deal. So we go over, and it's funny because near Joe Perry's house, there's a Perry Lane. Yeah, right. He doesn't live there. It's a trick. He lives. No, I'm not going to say what the name is, but it's some kind of farm. It says something, and there's an electric gate, and you open it up. Yeah. And he opens it up, and we go in, and he's got like really cool, like he's got these man-made ponds and these like little go-karts and everything. And we pull up, and I'm sitting in my car. They go in, grab some gear from him, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, it's my third day on the job. And I literally ended up at I'm sitting at Joe Perry. And I call my girlfriend at the time. She's working at the Advocate. I said, hey, you're not going to believe where I am right now. She's like, where are you? Yeah. I'm at Joe Perry's house. She's like, get out of town, Crazy. So we grab the gear, go back. And then the day later, they send me back by myself with Joe Perry's Vox cabinet. You have to bring it back. And I have to grab some of his gear and bring it back again. And as I'm riding back, I look over at the seat, and there's just a piece of rack gear that just says Aerosmith on it, and like it all just hit me like, oh my god, I'm working for Aerosmith, like So that that was just amazing, and that literally started like a 20-year career at Live Nation where I drove almost every rock star in the world I ever wanted to, and like the stories I have with these rock stars are like, some of them are legendary because like. Like a guy come to town, like when Lynyrd Skynyrd came to town, Gary Rossington, he needed his amp fixed. Sure. Same day. I got you. So I call up Larry the amp guy in West Hartford. Okay.
So you're just the guy that gets stuff done.
They need. Well, yeah. The runner is basically when tour comes to town, you meet the tour manager and production. You go right to work for them, and you do whatever they need you to do.
We need Triscuits. We need whatever.
All of that. Yes. A lot of that stuff, like a lot of the food and drinks are done beforehand. But a lot of that is everything they need for the supplies. So it could be whatever it is.
Or else they just say, we need this amp. This amp's got to be ready by 8:00.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
In his case, he
Crazy.
Yeah, he had an amp that needed to be fixed, and there's a guy, Larry the amp guy.
Because you know people too.
Oh,
That's
my
probably
book.
why you got the gig. Because you're like, I'm a musician. I figure it out.
Kind of, yeah. I did.
Right?
Fix his for him, and when Cheap Trick came to town, the production assistant was the guy that played drums with what the heck was that band?
Oh no,
I'll think of it.
Yeah.
But he went shopping for him, and so he gave me a bunch of picks and whatnot.
Yeah.
So really, you get into positions where if you knock it home, they do what they call saving the day.
Okay.
You can save the day.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there was things that were
came
done
down
like
to you.
just in the clincher. Yeah, where a show wouldn't have gone on. As a matter of fact, example, I worked for him for about 16 years, and then I took a little time off, was selling Harley Davidsons, doing some other stuff. And they called me and said, hey, listen, we have Farm Aids coming to town. We're calling all the old, veterans. Can you come back and help us out?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll come help you out,
Sure.
So out of the blue, they asked me to come back. I show up, and I'm assigned to Neil Young.
Oh, boy.
And it's Neil Young with Willie and, Dave Matthews, John Mellencamp.
Yep.
And so I walk in, and immediately there's a dilemma. Neil Young has the tour has a dilemma, my boss and the union, that none of them can fix.
Oh boy.
And I walk in after 3 years,
and they're like, Mike Z, you're on it.
They nobody could find a piano tuner. And the deal was because Willie Nelson's guy, who was on tour with Willie, used to help everybody else. But now he was like almost 80, and he just could only handle doing Willie stuff.
Right.
So Neil Young's, band had nobody to tune. And like they asked the union couldn't find anybody. My boss couldn't find anybody. And I walk in, and they tell me they're looking for a piano tuner. I said, oh, okay. Oh yeah, my friend Karen Mason from Wallingford. She
Good
tunes
Lord.
pianos. Hey Karen, what are you doing today?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing. You want to come up and tune Neil Young's pianos, make some money? Yeah, sure. She comes up, and she's a cool chick because she's like total punk rock. She comes with like 2 different color sneakers, spiked hair, spikes and leather.
Yeah.
And she came up and tuned their piano, and they loved her. And my boss literally walked up to me, and he goes and he gives me the saves the day knuckles because I felt so useful because I was gone for 3 years,
and
here
no one else would have.
I showed back up.
What would have happened?
Yeah, and like
no Farm Aid.
Yeah. And so literally, I saved the day.
Yeah,
and then they were like, oh, what are you doing next week? We got Tim McGraw's coming. Oh yeah, okay. And so they sucked me back in, which is okay. I did, work for them for a few years, and then I ended up working for Premier Concerts, which was the Westfield Music Bowl.
Okay.
And College Street Music Hall.
Wow.
Now Westfield Music Bowl brings us back to Wallingford because a lot of people zoom back around because growing up in Wallingford, remember people that were this tall before he had hair, like Joe Town.
Yeah.
He was just a little skinny kid. There was this kid, Carl Akampora, who was, he was hung around with Paulie Sirio and Eric and all these guys. Yeah. Well, he's become a really big production manager in the business, independent for Live Nation. Well, he built the Westfield Music Bowl, the stage that's there.
Oh, cool.
And he's still the production manager. So when he built that thing, he's like, you guys need Mike Z. You got to bring Mike Z in. So they brought me in. So I spent the last couple of years, working exclusively at College Street in Westville.
Wow.
Until I decided to retire after the 20-year mark.
Gotcha.
But that Carl Akampora is a Wallingford guy who just went out there and
like,
did well.
Mike Z will get it done.
Yeah. Now he's one of my connects, and I help him out when I can. And it's crazy. Joe Town too. Joe became big producer and even recorded some of my stuff. And It's amazing how many people have done well,
right
around here.
Yeah.
Connecticut really is known for a lot of people, like not so much of the collective groups, but a lot of individual people that have just, you read up on it,
Yeah. Yeah. Hate Breed.
Yeah. Hate Breed is, they're like one of the biggest bands in the world right now.
Yeah.
And Jamie Jostin. I remember Jamie Jostin when he was, let's say it, he was like this big and would come see my bands.
Yeah.
And now, so
there they are.
Yeah,
That's heavy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Wallingford, nothing like
yeah, Jamie. That's another one. Who did we have before that? Morton Downey Jr.
Morton Downey Jr. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Who else? I guess the Kennedys
There's
went
a
to
few.
Choate or whatever. but
Yeah, right.
None of that matters.
Right. Harrison Ford's kid was there recently, I guess.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's always something.
We used to just to harass the Choaties. We used to go and drink their chocolate milk in there,
Right.
jump on a 10-speed, ride
Yep.
off, and throw them in the graveyard. You know,
Yep.
we were little punks back in the day. you know.
Yeah. I
What
grew
could
up
I
on
say?
before when you met me, we were out in suburbia, but I grew up on Main Street, right where the library. They tore my house down to put the town library.
Oh, wow.
So it was always townies and choaties. That was always like that. My sister, and that was the thing.
Right.
You were either a townie when you're in the center of town. You were either a townie
Yeah.
or a choatie.
That's right. One
Yeah,
or
we
the
used to
other.
sneak in and hang out,
yeah.
all that stuff.
Go in the ice skating rink.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Crazy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't want to hear the bad stories because I don't want to hear bad stories, and I also don't want to get you in trouble. But who was like the coolest? Who stands out in your mind as one of the coolest people that you worked for as the runner that you were maybe pleasantly surprised or something, or what stands out?
There's some legends. I got to tell you, one of the favorite rides that I gave to and worked with at the Oakdale was Cheech and Chong, of course. Growing up on their records,
Sure.
like me, and I know you got me into Imus.
I did.
As a comedian, I remember
Oh,
you
that
used
was
to
Richie.
listen.
That was Richie McDonald.
You
Yeah.
used to listen. Listen to
Yeah,
like,
we're all into that.
and I was into
That's so funny.
George Carlin
Sure.
and had the Cheech and Chong records. So when they came to the Oakdale and I was their runner, it was like, you bet, And,
Jeez, I wonder what they needed.
well,
They already had it.
You know what they need. I did help them out. I'm not gonna lie. I helped them
So
out
you're-
with something. It
so
was
you're
something
that
that they
guy.
very
You
much
can be that
needed
guy
on the
too.
road. Oh well, let's just say whatever the bands come to town and they ask for, you get, and
Yeah.
that's just part of your job. So I won't say exactly what those things are, but
Sure.
But Cheech and Chong were great because Ray Dawn was with them, and she did like a little opening act before their act, and they actually pulled their original tour manager that used to manage them when they first started comedy out of retirement. He was an accountant in retirement. They pulled him out of retirement, and that's the guy that was their tour manager.
Oh boy.
So that's the guy I was working with all day. He was such an amazing guy. He gave my parents second row center seats to come see the show.
Just because.
Yeah, because I was cool to him, and by that point he was like, "Hey man, you anybody want to come to the show?"
So the business is smaller and nicer than you think.
It is
in some ways.
It
right?
is, and it was cool just to even have a little bit of interaction with the guys. Like they had the hoodie for the tour was a green hoodie, like with a pot leaf, and it said "Light Up the Crew Tour."
Sure.
So I bought one and I wore it. And Chong sees me and walks in. Oh, looks good,
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Their rider was the tiniest rider ever. Like I swear to, like he needed like a couple snacks, some fruit in this, and Cheech was like nothing rock starish at all,
Wow.
But my favorite moment was when I was loading them up and getting them backstage at the Oakdale to take them back to the hotel, and I'm helping Chong load the gear in the van, and the back doors are open, and put a case in. He puts a case in.
Yeah.
And I'm standing next to him, and the case starts to lean backwards and starts to fall out of the van.
It's gonna land on his foot.
And I was right there, and I just went whoosh, and stopped it. He looks down at me because he's standing. He's like, "Musician?"
Yeah, right.
And I said, "Yeah, guitar."
Yeah. Because we know.
Because he just knew. He knew that was the musician reflex.
Yep.
And and then
That's funny.
people would like to throw joints on stage and everything. So on the way back, Cheech is like, "Oh, what's up with them joints?"
Yeah.
And he pulls one out or whatever. Like the ride went really fast. I got him home really fast. Let's just say, but like to say that's got to be. And they were so nice, such great guys.
Hey, that's cool.
And so
they're just chilling.
Oh yeah, I mean, but then there's other moments too, like Iron Maiden playing at the Meadows. I'm taking Nico and Adrian. I got Adrian Smith in my driver's seat.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the first thing they told you when we went to Live Nation is, whatever you do, don't look at the rock star. Don't talk to them. Just leave them alone. If you're driving them, chauffeur rules. Don't talk. Leave the radio down.
Sure.
Unless they talk to you.
Yeah, sure.
Then you can.
Sure.
So, they tell us this that first week when I work with Aerosmith. So we're sitting there waiting for Aerosmith crew. And what happens? When Aerosmith crew walks into a building, Steve and Joe actually come in first and say hello to everybody. Well, they told us not to say hi to everybody. So, we're like, it's funny. Over time, though, you realize that, if they talk to you, you can.
Yeah.
But having Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden, he's like sitting right there. And I was just like, hey, Adrian, I just want to tell you.
Yeah, sure.
You inspired me to play. And
sure.
I got to play. I played in a band called 100 Demons. We played on tour. I said, we even played in England, in London. He's like, oh, you played in London. Where'd you play? Oh, at the Underworld. Oh, yeah, in Camden, mate. Yeah, right. And it's like, getting, and then here's another good one. Judas Priest is playing at the Oakdale for their 30th anniversary tour.
Wow. And
they're staying, well, I got to tell you, this is one of the best stories. So they're playing the day after 4th of July. Okay. So they're playing July 5th or something. So they're flying in on the 4th. So they're flying in Hartford, and I got to pick the band up in Hartford. And my boss is advancing the show with their tour manager, and he's like, yeah, so the runners, they're going to be coming up from Wallingford to pick the band up, and just whatever you do, just pay them well because it's a holiday here, for them or whatever. And
gotcha.
And 4th of July, and
sure.
Okay, so we'll pay them a day rate, and we'll pay them for every trip they go up. And I made 2 trips, so I made an extra couple $100. And he's like, yeah, it's a holiday for the runners. And the English guy's like, right. That's a holiday you guys celebrate over there. And my boss goes he goes just like this. He goes, yeah, that's right. That's the holiday that we celebrate kicking your guys' ass.
Right.
He's like, so you better pay them well.
So
and they did. I picked up the band from the airport, took them back.
That's cool.
But at some point, Glenn Tipton needed to go back to the Holiday Inn in North Haven. So,
oh boy.
Now this is before he had Alzheimer's, so he was still perfectly there.
Sure.
So now he's one of my all-time.
Yeah.
Sitting in my van, I'm driving. So I go up to Route 5, take a right past Wharton Brook, and he looks over and he goes, "It's a really lovely area. How's the fishing around here?"
Right. He already spotted.
And so I'm like, "Oh, well, Glenn, in the rivers we do some trout and some bass.
Sure.
When I'm out on the water, I like to get some flats, some bass, some mackerel." And so we talked about fishing for about the 3 or 4 minutes till we got to the Holiday Inn. And when we dropped him off, because he's already talking to me, now I can tell him something. So right before he gets out, I say, "Hey, Glenn, I just wanted you to know that this is my 30th anniversary too, because I saw you guys 30 years ago at New Haven Coliseum." And he just looks over and he winks.
Yeah.
He goes like that. And it's just like, wow,
That's crazy.
And now he got Alzheimer's. He doesn't even play with the band anymore, unfortunately.
Wow.
But little stuff like that, tons of stories, just
Wow.
Kenny Chesney's band, making friends with them and hanging out with one of the Wailers, that was playing percussion with him and just
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just
so it's easier for you to run them from the airport to the venue to where they're staying than get limos. Is that what the deal is? You never think about
the limos were a lot more expensive. Yeah, the limos.
So this is production. It's all.
Oh yeah.
So
they would pay us $200 a day to do this all day. Where if they were going to do a limo, it would be $600 per trip.
Right.
So absolutely. So that's basically was the drill.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't want to get you in trouble either. I'm just trying to imagine the oddest food requirement. What did you have the hardest time locating? Is there anybody that?
Well,
or is that?
It brings us back to the pizza because, as you know, all the bands are all privy to the New Haven pizza.
Sure.
So Aerosmith, wherever they were playing, one time they were practicing at Sonala Studios in New London. So, or if they were in Hartford, or we would always have to drive to New Haven for all the bands.
Right.
So if band came to Hartford, before there was a Peppies up there, we'd always have to drive. So if it was Dave Matthews, whoever, Aerosmith, Pearl Jam.
Wow.
So I was always, going down to Sally's and, giving him a check for $500.
Sure.
And I'd walk in and he'd want to tell everybody who I was getting pizza for.
Yeah.
And, we thought that was that was rough on us. We had to drive all the way to New Haven and back in traffic and bring the pizza until that week we were talking to Aerosmith's personal assistant who had been their assistant for years.
Yeah.
And he laughed at us. He's like, oh, yeah, that's nothing. You guys got to, I'm sorry you have to go all the way to Hartford for pizza. He's like, one time we were down in Delaware and the band decided that they wanted pizza for dinner down in Delaware. But they didn't just want any pizza. They wanted Sally's Pizza.
So to them, it's all, but they're from the East Coast. They should know better, but they don't care.
Yeah, no, they don't. So they literally make this guy get into a private plane in Delaware. He flies to Tweed, New Haven. He picks up the pizzas at Pepe's. He gets back into the plane and he flies back down. And Aerosmith had Sally's Pizza that night. So that's the extent that people go for pizza. And like Dave Matthews Band, their tour manager Hank, rest in peace, was a huge, and so was Dave Matthews and all of them. They used to have us go to Sally's.
Okay.
They had kind of evolved to Sally's. So every time Dave Matthews, I got to go down to Sally's. Well, then Pepe's opened up West Hartford.
Right.
And that year when they came to town, I said, Hank, there's a Pepe's now in West Hartford. They're just 10 minutes away. He's like, oh. He's like, we used to split the order back in the day. He's like, we might have to try that this time.
Oh, boy.
And he used to bring a 30 tray high stacked heated rack container that was just for the pizzas.
Wow.
They were that into it.
Whoa.
So I got him the Pepe's.
That's funny.
But then I made friends with the owner and the manager there. I got Dave to sign a Pepe's T-shirt, which they gave back to them, and they gave me a hats, which I gave to Hank and him. And Hank was and then every year after that, they turned from Sally's to Pepe's just because there was Pepe's close by, and they wanted it hotter and fresher.
Oh boy. Well, that's an age-old argument. We could have that argument.
Yeah, but it still is a thing. Up until just a couple of years ago, I'm working at a Westville Music Bowl. Warren Haynes, he wants Pepe's. So now the problems with these Pepe's and Sally's is they're starting to not take cash, not take orders over the phone. So it's harder if you don't know anybody.
Yeah.
So, but I go to Pepe's and meet the manager, and I tell him it's for Warren Haynes. He's like, oh my God, Warren Haynes. He's like, what size shirt is he? What size shirt are you? And
right.
He gives me the shirts, and I go back and I hand the pizza to Warren with the T-shirt, and he puts the pizza down. He runs into the bathroom just to make sure it fits and everything. He was so excited.
Hey.
But then there's an even better story you'll appreciate.
Boy.
Years back, Zappa Does Zappa had played Oakdale with this guy Ray, singer, who was one of the original Mothers of Invention.
Okay.
And he was the singer that would continue to play with them. When they played Oakdale a bunch of years back, he needed to get some sneakers. So jumped in my car, drove him to the Meriden Mall.
Sure.
On the way to the Meriden Mall, we start talking about music. And he's like, oh, you play? Yeah, I play. He's like, oh, really? What kind? Oh, I'm band 100 Demons, it's heavy metal. He's like, oh, like Metallica heavy. He's like, you have anything with you?
Oh, boy.
And we had done a mix. I said, oh, actually I do.
Yeah, check this out.
I put it in, and literally this guy who's a legend of the San Francisco scene. He's like banging his head to my music, and so we bonded. Well, years later, just last year before, they came to Westville Music Bowl, and it was Zappa Band. So he came back. And I saw him at the catering. I'm like, hey, Ray, how you doing? Remember I took you to get the sneakers? And he looks at me and goes, yeah, those sneakers are still doing good. So Zappa Band comes all the way from San Francisco. What do they want?
Yeah.
They want Sally's Pizza.
Crazy.
Well, they get a cash stipend, $500 cash.
Sure.
Called Sally's. Sally's doesn't take cash anymore.
Whoa.
So they're getting discouraged because they think it's not happening. And the manager was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Just get anything. I was like, no. You guys came all the way here from San Francisco. You want Sally's.
Yeah.
I'm making it happen. I go down there because you can't even talk to him on the phone anymore.
Wow.
And I meet the manager there.
You don't have a secret door by now?
We used to have the secret number.
The Z door?
Well,
Z door?
Well, when Flo was alive, there was a separate phone.
Right.
And that was just for people like when Jimmy Koplik wanted us to go get pizzas. That. Yes. Yeah. And we would bring a $500 check with a sign that says no checks.
Yeah, right. But she knew.
Yeah.
You guys are good for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But so here it is. Almost looks like we can't get Sally's for Zappa Band. I'm like, no. I go down there and I meet the newest manager there. Now, just by chance, I tell him, hey, Zappa Band's here, and he looks at me like, Zappa? Like Zappa does that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my God.
Now's your chance to be a hero.
So now he's like, oh yeah, no, we'll take the cash. He says, we just can't give change, blah, 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 So now I'm like, hey, what are the chances you could throw in a Sally's Pizza T-shirt in there for the singer? And yeah, it was a hard sell. He's like, I don't know, we don't sell those. It's just for us because they don't. It's not like Pepe's where you can buy them.
Okay.
Sally's wasn't selling. I don't know if they still. I don't know if they are. So he was like, I don't know if I can do that. But when I went to go pick up the pizzas, there was the pizzas and there was another small box on top, and inside that, sure enough. So I bring it back to him. Go onto the tour bus. Manager's handing it to Ray, and he says, he hands him the shirt, and he says, oh yeah, you could only get one of these, by working there. And he's like, what you trying to say? Like he had to go back and wash the dishes, like to earn the shirt. Right. But so now Ray's gonna go back to San Francisco. Probably the only person on the West Coast, because I don't even have one here. With a Sally's Pizza T-shirt, because the manager was like, it was like his favorite band, So like the pizza thing is I would. That's wild. I've been like music business pizza mafia for the bands for like 20 years now. So it's just wow. And now the rest of the world woke up to it. It's crazy.
Do you think it makes a difference now? Is that why they're opening more? Like I just saw a post. Where did you go?
Yeah, we just tried the Fairfield Sally's.
And what's the deal?
I thought the pizza was just almost to par with New Haven. Yeah. The last time I went to New Haven, not quite. But the place is just 9,000 square feet. Looks like a fancy giant Fairfield restaurant.
But it's close. So who knows what it is?
It is close. Yeah, they definitely come really close. And our waiter was a New Haven pizza snob by chance, so he took good care of us. But it's weird because you look at the menu, and there's all these other things on the menu that there was chicken wings. Yeah, you're like, there's these subs. No. There's and it's like, oh, that's cool, but
Well, here's one. So because I see you post this. So does the parties get any play with people? Because that's got its moment. That's got its thing, and they don't do any. It's just pizza. That's it. There's nothing else.
Yeah,
I hit Zupardi's once in a while.
Zupardi's has the absolute best sausage.
That's right.
They make their own, and you can't. None of those other places can touch the sausage.
As
far as
that's what you get when you go there. Is anyone hip to that, or they might not get?
Yeah. Like
some people.
Who's hip to it is the local promoters. So like Jimmy Koplik, or like when we would play shows in Hartford, Jimmy Koplik would do this kind of pizza wars thing. So we would get first and last, and we would get Pepe's, and then bring it backstage, and people would rate it or whatever. Sure. Well, now that's evolved down. The guy Joel that opened the Bridgeport amphitheater down there, he a lot of the shows he would literally get Zupardi's, Sally's, and Pepe's. They call it the trio.
Wow,
that's the trio. Modern is, but I think Zupardi's is even a little more known like internationally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just for some reason, more people. Kamala Harris went there a few years ago or something.
Nice.
Showed up. So Zupardi's absolutely. And then, but it's just crazy how pizza is just trying. And New Haven is becoming known worldwide.
Good.
But
we knew it way back when. I didn't know any better, but you were the one that was like, we got to go. Why? We have pizza here. You're like, no, just check it out.
Yeah.
Like we went to Pepe's, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right? That's still my favorite.
That's it?
Yeah. Pepe's is my favorite pizza. Sally's is my favorite pizza. So.
Oh, okay. Explain.
Well, a pizza, it depends. It depends what you call it. So.
Yeah.
But
I did the same thing. I was at a party. There were both, and I finally settled it. And I'm Team Sally's. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like by then it just gets to it's not a quality thing. It's just what you prefer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, but I'm kind of Sally's. But I mean, Pepe's, sure, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, there's like 11 or 12 Pepe's now. There's like 4 Sally's.
Wow.
There's Stanford now. There's Fairfield. So.
Yeah, that's heavy.
It is
pretty cool. All right. Real quick, give us, think of 5 of the most famous people that you could think of offhand and tell us whether they're Team Sally's or Peppy's. This might be interesting. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam is Sally's.
Oh, okay.
Death Cab for Cutie is Peppy's.
Okay. So you get it.
Ronnie James Dio, I believe, was Sally's.
Ooh.
Dave Matthews used to be Sally's and Peppy's, but then you became Peppy's, but Sally's. But then I turned them back to Peppy's.
Right.
Aerosmith, of course, Sally's.
Yep. That's so funny.
But the list goes on and on. Yeah, I mean, there really is. Everybody knows. And like you said, I didn't even know about Rick Nielsen until more recently when I saw that he that he opened up those places. And years ago, when Smoke the Prophet had won this band-to-band combat thing, they flew us to Chicago, and so we got to eat at Gino's East.
Okay.
Go to the House of Blues, and there was a kid there. He's like, "Oh, you're from New Haven, the thin crust capital, and we're in the thick crust capital of the world." And that was the first time I tried Chicago deep dish.
Yeah, sure. Which is the thing.
Yeah. And Gino's East. By that point, it was kind of one of the popular ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pizza is like 2.5 inches thick.
Yeah.
And I remember ordering a sausage pizza, and it came in that pan this round, and instead of clumps or slices, there was literally a sausage patty, that thick, on top of the entire thing, and then with some sausage. So when you cut a slice, you were cutting a slice of sausage that was as big as the pizza, and I could only eat 1 or 2 pieces.
Yeah,
and
that's too much.
And the crust is more like yellowy, like cornmeal.
Yep.
Other than that, it's great.
They get their own thing.
Yeah.
You know what? Talk about pizza. Me and my wife, occasionally we did this weekend. Where every once in a while I discovered it. Is Christo's in Wallingford do a Detroit pie?
Okay.
Well, whatever that's all about, I'm not sure, but it's really good.
Yeah.
We took a chance one day, and I'm like, oh. This is cool.
Yeah, isn't that sort of like
it's rectangular?
Yeah, it's like a rectangular pan pizza, and it's not quite as thick as, but it's sort of like bruschetta-ish, sort of. I don't know.
They do a pretty good job, though.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is cool. But I mean, everybody has their hometown. Like for me, like Wallingford hometown, like Napoli, that's my spot.
Yeah,
like Napoli's my spot. George's is for Greek over on.
Well, if we go back, if we go back though, remember Louis, where Christo's was.
Yep.
There was Colony Pizza.
Yep.
I think Colony. That was the one that had the jukebox, right?
Oh yeah.
And we would go in there, and Eric Wilborn, rest in peace.
That's right.
He lived a block away, so he went there so much. The guy that owned that place, he would listen. Eric would tell him what songs to put in his jukebox.
Right.
So they were like stacked with metal because of him, and we would go in there, and we would just and then Stupak worked at Zachary's. For many years.
Right, on center.
And just
so funny.
Now, I can tell you where the worst pizza in the world is. Because I've been in 40 countries. Poland and East Germany have no idea what they're doing with the pizza. Oh, it's love the people there and everything.
Yeah.
But, I remember we were playing at a bar in Poland, and they pulled out this like frozen pizza thing, and dudes were putting ketchup on top of them. And I was like, oh man, you guys really don't know what this is about.
Not hitting it.
Yeah, some really horrible pizzas. And first time touring in France with 25 to Life, we went to an Italian place in France, and I ordered a pepperoni pizza. Mm-hmm. So the translation came back. My pizza came back. It was a pizza piled with pepperoncini peppers. Because there's no such thing as pepperoni in Europe. It's called salami.
Oh, so
when you want pepperoni, you ask for salami. When that pizza came out, everybody laughed so hard at me. It was piled like this. I took all the peppers off, and
they probably didn't even know either. It's American.
No, they thought I said pepperoncini. That's what they thought they heard.
That's so funny.
So yeah, no. Crazy. So there's there's
crazy.
There's also those capers. But I will tell you where the best pizza in Europe was.
I'm ready.
And it's crazy. We played. This was with 100 Demons. We're playing in Florence, Italy, at this medium-sized club, and he's feeding us as usual, and he said he has pizzas on the way. It was taking a little longer. We were like really hungry. We're like, oh man, what's going on? This motorcycle pulls up, zzz, and there's a motorcycle with a box on the back, and it says Mr. Pizza. So we're like, oh, what's this? This is gonna be horrible. Like, guy rolls in with like 10 small pizzas. We opened those things up. Those pizzas were as the closest thing to Worcester Street outside of Connecticut.
There you go.
And I was just like, wow. So yeah.
So they don't even know how good they are.
Yeah, and then after I was home, I looked it up, Mr. Pizza. It's actually it's a chain, but it's a chain that's as good as like home style
There's
pizza.
Something that they do. Yeah.
So
I thought it was fascinating. I watched the pizza movie about New Haven pizza, and it's like they don't know what their secret is. They just know don't change anything. You know what I mean? Like you ask them like, what is it? And they're like, well, I'm not going to tell you how we do it or what our ingredients are, but I can't tell you what it is. Just people love it, and then you don't change it, and that's what it is. Yeah. So what do you do different? They asked the dude at Pepe's, what do you do different from Sally's? I don't know, because I don't know what they do. It just somehow it's magic.
You know what's funny is
we talk more about pizza than music.
Well, it's trending, and it's who we are. So
yeah. It's so funny.
But I will tell you, I did discover kind of what some of the secret of the Pepe's taste is. If you pick a basic ingredient that gives it the zing, if you watch, they're always throwing a bunch of grated cheese on top after. And like if you go to bar when they have those slices that are amazing,
bar's good too.
Take a look at the end; they're shaking this grated cheese on top, and when you eat them, you taste that zing.
It gets that. Yeah,
so I will say that's one of the not very secret things that I know. That some places that gives it, that I've seen.
Because bar's good too.
Yeah,
they do a good job.
And the word was that they bought the recipe from one of those too.
Oh,
yeah. But
yeah. I can't get no disrespect. I can't get the swing of modern. I recognize that it's good, but it's not my jam.
Everybody I talk to just talks about the inconsistency.
Okay.
One day you'll go, it'll be good. Sometimes when I've gone there, it's not cooked as much as I want. I've had to tell them to like kind of put it back in,
Whoa.
Maybe, I don't know, it's on a night where they're just,
crazy
getting them in and out and they just don't have time to cook it as long as.
Well, they got to get it together, yo.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
But,
all right, I got wrap-up questions. This was awesome. Maybe you got to come back.
Okay,
all right.
I'd love to.
Okay, because we didn't talk enough about music.
It's all right.
Desert Island albums, a few that you would take with you, that you could only listen to, that would it'll define you for us. Wow, what I just did the 20 album thing on Facebook where everyone shares your favorite 20. Yeah, so I can think of these pretty quickly, but I'm up to number 9. Tomorrow's number 19, and it's going to be Cheap Trick Dream Police because that's just that is they're still my all-time favorite band. Even though I'm a big metalhead, me too.
So on the hardcore scene, it'll always be Cheap Trick. It's just so good, so many ways.
Yeah.
So that is definitely up there. Metallica, Master of Puppets.
Sure.
Queen Live Killers.
Yeah.
Leonard Skinner. Nothing fancy.
Tuesday's Gone.
Yeah. Saturday Night Special.
Yeah.
Like when I think of the first albums, my mom had records. She had like the Boston album, Led Zeppelin, Zofo, and then the first album she bought me was Kiss, Rock and Roll Over.
Yeah.
With that crazy cover.
Sure.
And then I just started, getting into it from there. So, I would say those, Megadeth,
sure.
Peace Cells,
and
the list goes on. There's just so much good music.
Yeah, no, I know. I do that too. I still make lists. I start making the top 10 and it becomes 20 and then it becomes 30 and then it bemes 40.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like,
there's just so much.
Yeah, so much.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to ask you desert island food because we talked about that. That's another question.
We know. It'll be pizza.
Yeah, totally. Is there any one particular show or concert you could think of off the top of your head that blew your mind, that changed your whole thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was Kiss and Judas Priest at New Haven Coliseum.
Yeah,
I was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
At that time, I had seen Aerosmith, Kiss, but Kiss, I went with Stupak.
Yep.
And this band opened up that we had never seen before. Called Judas Priest.
Wow.
And Rob Halford coming out on his Harley and just all that, and it was just like wow.
Yeah, that would do it.
Let's see, Aerosmith was the first when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
This kid, Albert Glaude, my mom would drop us off at New Haven Coliseum. We were 12 years old and just say, Go ahead.
I know. Can you imagine? Yeah, me too.
Dudes asking us if we want to buy like PCP, stuff. We're like, you know, what else? I saw Ted Nugent there. Kansas.
Cheap Trick, UFO. UFO.
Oh yes, That was, oh my God, that was amazing. Yeah. Yep. Mike Chapman, I think, was a guitar player for UFO that night. Yep.
Crazy.
I saw RO Speedwagon and Cheap Trick at New Haven Coliseum years later. Did you go to that?
No, I don't think so. That doesn't ring a bell. I don't think I ever saw REO Speedwagon.
Oh man, the coolest part is because they're both from Chicago. At the end of the night.
Sure.
On keep on rolling.
Yeah.
All the guys from Cheap Trick jumped on stage.
I did not see that.
And we're all jamming with REO Speedwagon. So cool. Yeah, I know it's
beautiful.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right, we got to get out.
Right on.
You come back because we didn't talk about music enough.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah, that was killer. No, I'm really glad you showed up.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, man. Just to catch up with you too.
I know.
It's awesome.
I know. We never only see each other at a Cheap Trick show.
That's right. There must be one coming.
Oh, man.
But no, I did want to ask you one thing, though, because when I came here, something I'm going to be doing in the near future is putting together a record just with a bunch of my friends playing and whatever. And, man, I'd love to have you maybe do a Cheap Trick cover on that with me. Pick something that, and like,
anything.
I would love that.
Any of it.
Just that. It would be
anything.
That would be great.
Name the song.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards like maybe Gonna Raise Hell, Dream Police, or something. But if you're into that,
I can do. I still fantasize sometimes when people post Cheap Trick the set list. I just check in once in a while and I just look at the list and go, "Yep, if they call me right now, I could do this gig." So yeah, just name the song and I'll be there.
Oh, that'd be great, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. Yeah, that would be funny.
Cool.
That'd be funny. I don't think we never recorded anything. We should do that.
Yes,
that'll be a thing.
Absolutely.
It'll be the Daily Growl.
Yes, that's right.
Beautiful. All right, I'm pressing the button. Thank you
awesome.
for coming.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
It was awesome. I'm going to reach out to Opus. I gotta talk to you.
Definitely.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. All right, Mike Z. Livingston, a blast from the past.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Wow.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. 100%.
Great to see you.
Yeah, same here. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through 1 lights, pull a UE, park in front of thing. I'm getting better. This is my year. I can feel it. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Be on the show with me. Have your own podcast here at the check out my merch. Oh, we have merch. Yeah, you got to check out my merch. We got to work on that link. I went to look for something. It's hard to find. Okay. I have merch, kids. All right. Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Drive safe. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.